Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at the first round of games at the group stage of the FIFA 2022 World Cup. And first two games we want to look at would be games that big teams has lost.
Them dead, them dead, them dead,
Now,
them dead, them
with
dead.
these games, they would have been a shock to the footballing world. The Germany-Japan game, I thought Germany were a little toothless. They seem to me to be lacking in the striking option. They didn't capitalize on their chances. The Japanese team, however, did make use of their chance. And it was a wonderful second goal from the Japanese team to win that game. At the end of the day, this now put Germany in a really difficult situation because their next game will be up against this Spain team, who looked wonderful in their first game. So all doesn't look so well for the Germany team. Now the second shock game so far of this World Cup would have been the Argentina versus Saudi Arabia game. Now I believe the Saudi team, they came with a game plan, executed well, which would have been to play a high line. Argentina team got caught offside so many times, numerous times, and to my surprise and disappointment, it didn't seem as if Argentina players were able to readjust to the Saudi Arabia team tactics, thus causing the Argentina, or causing the game itself to go into this kind of basketball type of fashion where it's you attack then me attack, you attack then me attack, and this actually played into the hands of the Saudi Arabia team. Now, brilliant finish from the Saudi player for the second goal that turned out to be the winner, and a goal of that type and magnitude deserves to be the winner. Now, this now sets the Argentina team in a rather uncomfortable situation, because had either of the other two teams won their game, then it would have been a quite difficult situation for the Argentine team. However, the other two teams, they drew, so Argentina still has a very good chance of proceeding to the next round. Now the second section of the fixture that I want to look at, I've called this section the rubbish game. Yeah? These three games, Poland versus Mexico, Morocco versus Croatia, Denmark versus Tunisia, all three games ended in a stalemate, nil-all draw. Nothing from these games. In the Poland-Mexico game, Lewandowski had a penalty which was saved by the Mexico keeper, who was the man of the match. But all in all, it was just a dull game. Morocco, Croatia, a dull game. In that game, Modric had little influence, Kovacic had little influence, and these are two top midfielders. In Modric's case, he's a world-class midfielder, and the game was just flat. Denmark, Tunisia, also flat. Yes, Tunisia did attack here and there, but these three games, in my opinion, were rubbish. Quality of games were poor, in my opinion, and so I refer to these three games as rubbish games. Now, we are accustomed to the term MVP. I'm coming up with the term MIP, which means most impressive performance. Now, there are a few. Now, in no particular order. Spain versus Costa Rica, 7-0. Absolutely wonderful performance from the Spanish team. Yes, Costa Rica is not the strongest opponent. However, you just have to play who is put in front of you. At the end of the day, the Spanish team, they bossed the game, dominated the play. They didn't allow Costa Rica to get a foothold in the game, suffocated them. We know the Spanish teams are known for tiki-taka football, death by 1,000 pass, and that was exactly what they did on the day. My concern for the Spanish team going into this game would have been their striking options. So I was pleasantly surprised to see them scoring 7 goals and might I say 7 wonderfully taken goals. So things are looking bright for the Spanish team. Let's see how they continue throughout this competition. The second impressive performance would have been France versus Australia. Now obviously the French team went down a goal to nil, managed to draw level, and proceeded to score 3 other goals, running out a 4-1 victory. Very good performance on the day from the French team. Of course, the Australian, they didn't put up much of a fight there after the first goal. However, we know the French team would have been superior to the Australian team. I believe the French are very well positioned to go deep into this competition. Defending their title, not so certain, because we have some very good teams in this competition. Must mention that Oliver Giroud getting a brace in that game, which would have seen him equal Thierry Henry's record of being the French top goal scorer at 51 goals. So kudos to him. Now, next impressive game would have been England versus Iran. English team ran out 6-2 winners on the day. Leading up to the competition, there was a report that Southgate stated that the shackles would be coming off. It seemed as if that is the mindset of this English team. They are young, they are dynamic, they are very direct, and it seems like they may go deep into this competition as well. Some people have England as their favourites. By the looks of this first game, could be a good call. Young Bellingham stepping up, Saka bringing his Premier League form into the World Cup, Rashford getting on the score sheet, Sterling, Grealish. So yes, looking good for the English team there. Yeah. Fourth performance, again I have to mention the Argentina-Saudi Arabia game, just on the basis that nobody saw Saudi Arabia even putting up a fight, much less winning the game. And on the day, I believe the Saudi Arabia team stuck to their game plan, worked hard, pressed the Argentine team, but this could have only been done because the Saudi Arabia team knew that they had nothing to lose. They didn't have the burden of expected pressure of the chance of winning the game. So because of that freedom, they could have basically played freely, which I believe helped or enhanced their opportunity of getting a result and going on to winning the game. Now, not gonna take anything from the Saudi Arabia team, however, Argentina just didn't perform well on the day. Messi tried, all the other players tried, but it just didn't come together for the Argentina team on the day. Let's see how they can bounce back, but on the merit of impressive performance, I have to give Saudi Arabia kudos for that. Now, looking at the group stages, in the group A, we see where Ecuador, they were fairly impressive, even though they played a weak opponent. So Enna Valencia, who's their talisman, getting a brace there. The Netherlands, the Dutch team, where they are known for total football, however, that was totally the opposite. Playing against Senegal team, who clearly is missing their talisman in Sadio Mane. Now this Dutch team, they were lucky in my opinion to have a 2-0 win. However, Cody Gakpo looks a real talent for this Dutch team, and I believe he may turn out to be one of the young stars of this World Cup. Qatar, what should I say? Thanks for hosting the World Cup. Now in Group B, this group consists of England, USA, Wales, and Iran. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it seems that the shackles are off the English team. Bellingham steadily growing into a world-class midfielder. Saka, like I stated, brought his Premier League form into the World Cup, and the team looked like a good unit, as in they are playing off the same wavelength, and that bodes well for this English team. Now the US team, not too convinced by them. They had the opportunity to to set themselves up to move on to the second stage. They gave up a 1-0 lead against the Welsh team, who, to be fair, Wales team, they did put up a fight. They were able to come back from a goal down, eventually eking out a 1-1 draw, which probably have given themselves a decent chance in moving on to the next stage. Now, the next round of games will be very interesting for both USA and Wales, as to see who comes out with England from this group, because I believe England will finish top of this group. Now, in Group C, this is where it gets interesting a little bit, at least. Saudi Arabia currently leads that group. They are the surprise package thus far, getting the better of Argentina in a big shock win there. Now, they have given themselves a real chance of going through. All they wouldn't probably need is another draw, or maybe 2 draws, with Poland and Mexico, being that they were so poor. Now, obviously, Poland and Mexico, they may have shot themselves in the foot with that the last stalemate, that boring game. Now, let us see how that plays out in the coming week. Now, in Group D, the French team, impressive. Giroud equaling Henry's goal scoring record. Not much to say about the French other than that they were impressive. Hopefully for them, they can continue in that vein. Now, Tunisia, Denmark, in that said group, poor quality, poor game. Second place is up for grabs in this group, in my opinion. It could be Tunisia, could be Denmark, could be even Australia, because they were able to score on a good French team. I believe Australia could cause some problems for Tunisia and even Denmark. So I believe second place is up for grabs there. Now, Group E, I think is pretty much done, basically, because Spain ran out 7-0 winners on the day. Still concerned a little about their striking option, or lack thereof, because I'm not convinced of Morata. Yes, Dani Olmo can score goals. There's Marco Asensio. There's Ferran Torres. Not convinced of either of them finishing. However, they were able to score 7 goals. They'll be coming up against the Germans this Sunday. So let us see how that game turns out. Japan has given themselves a very good chance of proceeding to the second round by beating the Germans. They have Costa Rica coming up next, which I expect them to win that game. Obviously, getting 6 points from 2 games definitely put them in good stead to proceed to the next round of games. Now, Group F, Belgium. Oh my. Belgium with a very, very lucky win, in my opinion, against a very determined Canada team. I believe the Belgium performance was poor, even though they won the game 2-0. Well, my apologies, 1-0. Now, De Bruyne and Messi Batshuayi were not on the same wavelength. Obviously, the team needs work in terms of chemistry for them to have a long run in this World Cup. Croatia, Monaco, I'm expecting more from Croatia. Morocco could be a surprise team of this group, as well as Canada. So I believe at this point, even though Belgium has 3 points, any 2 team could still come from Group F. It's not a given that it's Belgium or Croatia, but I'm still expecting Belgium and Croatia to step from this group. The Canada team, they were very unlucky. Poor finishing caused them to lose that game against Belgium, or at least not get a point at least. Now I expect them to be competitive and at least still have a shot at going through. Now, Group G, this is where the mighty Brazilians find themselves. They had a very dominant performance today, thanks to Serbia just sitting back. However, Brazil managed to score 2 good goals, especially that second one there. They look, what should I say, they're the Samba boys, so they look very good, move the ball well, weren't under much pressure, so I'd like to see them go up against a more attacking opponent, but they looked very good. Keeper didn't have much to do. They basically controlled majority of this game against Serbia. Switzerland, they got the better of Cameroon 1-0. They look solid as would expect. The team performance, everybody knows their role, stick to the game plan, and they were able to come up with a very good goal from Bril Mbolo and managed to win that game 1-0. Now, Cameroon may just end up to be a participant in this group, because I believe other 3 teams are way more superior to them. Now in Group H, Portugal, they looked okay. Wasn't anything to write home and tell mama about, basically. So they got a 3-2 win eventually against a tough Ghana team. The Ghana team had a spirited performance, put up a good fight. They took long to settle in the game though, because in that game the first half was a bit dull, to say the least. Game came to life in the second half, 5 goals in the second half. That was exciting. But Portugal, they didn't really control the game, or at least the flow of the game, and basically allow Ghana back in the game twice. They eventually held on for the 3-2 win, so they should be sitting good in going through to the next round. Uruguay and South Korea. This game ended scoreless. However, it wasn't lacking in goal mouth activity. There were the chances here and there. Uruguay has some potent strikers. However, both Cavani and Luis Suarez are basically over the hill now, but they still do have quality. There's a young Darwin Núñez who was giving it his all, but just wasn't coming together. Now with South Korea, obviously their talisman is Heung-min Son. They sat deep, very compact, very organized. They play on the counter attack. However, their finishing was lacking as well, because I believe they had about 2 or 3 very good chances in that game. Could have won the game, but it was a nil stalemate. All in all, second place is still up for grabs in this group as well. It's also quite likely that any 2 teams could still progress, even though Portugal has 3 points on the board. So let's see how that one develops. Now for the stadiums,